friends, Erika Tesla here. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, thank you so much for deciding to click on this video. And if you're returning, it's so good to have you back. Today I am so excited to chat with you guys about the brand new Nomad Cosmetics release. This is the Chicago Speakeasy palette. And guys, here is the box with just some of the most gorgeous artwork from the era. So the Speakeasy era, I believe, was during the Prohibition era. That was like the height of the speakeasy, and we're talking about, I believe, the time periods 1920 to 1933, or at least that's what I googled. And I love this packaging, this art deco vibe on the box, and then you can see here it has the shades of the palette. But let's take a look at the palette itself. Look at this. It is decadent, it's gorgeous, it's this beautiful red and gold packaging with this red velvet packaging and gold embossing, and it has this art deco turn of the century design on here, the geometric shapes. It's incredible. It's so beautiful. This palette is in support of the Friends of the Chicago River, and if you are familiar with the brand, they do support a cause with each release. But here are the colors inside of the palette. These are beautiful shades. When I saw this, I was thinking, oh, that's pretty colorful, but when you look at it, it's actually a pretty, how do I say this? I don't want to say subdued. It's not quite neutral because you still have colors here, but it's definitely very wearable colors. And then before we get into the palette a little bit more, here's a little postcard that comes with it. I got this in the PR package and a little bit more information about the palette. And I just read on one of their Instagram posts that they're going to start including the cards in releases, which is really cool because I think people really enjoy those as part of these collections. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swatch these shades for you. I've already put the first row on my hand for you guys. So here we have the first 5 shades in the palette. So this is our top row. We have the Drifter, Violet Hour, Green Mill, the Drunken Goat, the Absinthe House. So as you can see, yes, we have these pastel shades here, and then these more neutral brown tones in the first row. I will say, guys, just as a note, these mattes swatched very smoothly. They're incredibly creamy, and they're pigmented. They're showing up. So even though this color is very light, it's not giving me ash. I skipped ahead, guys, and I went to the third row in the palette, which has the other 5 mattes in the palette. So we have the shade Blind Pig, Knock and Speakeasy, Capone, which it looks kind of black, but it's this burnt purple, deep like eggplant shade. Windy City, which is this beautiful rusty color, and then Prohibition, which is this creamy kind of latte color that's really pretty. And guys, again, these mattes are really smooth and creamy, and I'm really impressed with not only how they swatch, but how they perform on the eye, which I will get to. I'm going to go ahead and come back with the middle row, which has the multi-chrome and duochrome shades in it. Here we have the middle row, my friends, of the multi-chromes in the palette. These have just such pretty shifts to them, and unfortunately my camera doesn't necessarily do all of these justice, but we have the shade Chicago Fizz, Aviation, we have Southside and Boulevardier, or Boulevardier, I think it's pronounced. And then finally, I have the shade Gin Ricky. And so as you notice, a lot of these have names that are related to like liquors. And as you know, during the Prohibition era, people weren't allowed to have these kinds of beverages and things like that. But anyway, these are the shimmery multi-chrome shades. Those are the swatches, my friends. I hope that they give you a little bit of a visual of what the color story is like with this palette. So I'm gonna scooch my camera over a little bit, and I'm gonna pop up the tutorial of this look that I wore in particular, and I'm gonna just talk you guys through it as you're watching the video. But just very quickly, I initially started out wanting to do this look using this half of the palette, or this third of the palette really. So I started in with the shade Prohibition, which is this very light shade. It's almost like a little bit lighter than my skin tone actually on the eyelid. So I use this to set the crease. And then I went in with the shade Windy City. I was really taken in by this rusty matte shade. It's so beautiful. And then I used a little bit of Drunken Goat to deepen the outer V. And then I went in with Capone on the lower lash line to kind of smoke that out a little bit. And then for the shimmer shade, or the multi-chrome, when I saw this palette, I wanted to use this shade Boulevardier or Boulevardier. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but it's just such a beautiful shade, and depending on which direction you're looking at it from, it could either look like more bronzy or more rusty, or even a little bit green. So this one is like a very shifty multi-chrome shade. And then I used a little bit of Chicago Fizz here in this part of the lid, in this part of the crease. And then finally I did a little bit of Gin Ricky, which is this shade right here, which is, as you probably saw me swatch already, just this really pretty iridescent, has this iridescent multi-chrome shift that's just really stunning, and it really brightened the inner eye. And so overall, guys, I was really impressed with the performance of the shades. The matte shades are so smooth and so creamy and so blendable. As far as the multi-chromes go, I have definitely experienced shiftier multi-chromes, but that doesn't take away from the wearability of this palette. It is surprisingly neutral, because you have multiple kind of more neutral shades here, and then the colorful shades in here, they're a little bit more subdued, so they're not really going to be bold like the Florida Keys palette that they came out with, or the Fuji 5 Lakes palette, which had like the really bold like reds and yellows in it, or even the Ireland palette that they did earlier this year. These are colorful, but they're soft colors. I think that's the word that I've been trying to grasp. These are soft colors, and it makes it incredibly easy to wear and super duper wearable. And you absolutely could do just a one and done situation with any of these shades. Of course, I wanted to just take the chance with the one look that I was doing for the demo of this palette to just kind of play around the palette and see what I liked about it. So overall, my friends, my first impressions of this palette is that it is definitely really wearable. I'm really happy with the look that I got with this palette. I feel like it's definitely very fall appropriate, but you could actually get away with this with these shades right here, pulling this out in the springtime as well. The shade Green Mill is definitely like a spring green color in my opinion. However, what's nice about the Nomad color stories is that they're very interesting. They give you creative license to think about different ways you would wear the colors. I think one of the next looks that I want to play with is combining Green Mill with the Drunken Goat. There's something really appealing about this green and brown combo. And the multi-chromes are really nice. Like I may have mentioned, they're multi-chromy, but I have definitely experienced like more like shifty colors, like say like a Cleona or a Terra Moons or any number of the indie brands that are out there. However, I think these multi-chromes are nice in the sense that if you want to play with multi-chromes but maybe feel intimidated or overwhelmed by some of the super shifty ones or like the super thick formulas, these are really nice. It's very wearable. Like you could take this shade South Side and absolutely just wear that by itself. Like that is just gonna be such a beautiful shade to just take and like sheer that out, and then just have like a really soft, pretty, shimmery, shiny look. And everything went on super duper smoothly. I will say the Nomad formula has quickly become a favorite of mine over the time that I have been trying this brand. And this is no exception. I think this palette is absolutely gorgeous. I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people because it has the neutral shades, but it's not dull. I think when they released their Nomad Air collection, it was a little bit muted and a little bit subdued to the point where I think a lot of people just felt like that release wasn't as exciting. I don't know that this is necessarily like more bold than that, but the way they managed to compose this particular color story makes it wearable and really, really interesting. I think they did a really nice job, and you could think of this palette in a number of ways. You could go by rows, you could go by columns. Just there's a number of possibilities that you could explore with this palette. Not to mention, okay, yes, you get your mirror, but this packaging, guys, like they have been killing it with the packaging. I know that they've had some releases that are just the artwork, which I shouldn't say just the artwork because the artwork is usually really gorgeous, but for them to add the texture to this, I think that this would be a really beautiful gift for someone that you might know in your life who enjoys makeup. This was really, really nicely done. Yes, if you're worried about it getting dirty, I would probably say keep it in the box so that if you're using it on your vanity, it's protected, but it's just so pretty, guys. Like they did such a great job with the packaging, the color story, and the formulations. So with that being said, those are my first impressions, my little demo, my swatches of this palette. I would love to hear you guys sound off in the comments below. So let me know what you think about this one. Is this on your radar? Are you interested in it? Is there something else on your wish list? Tell me about it down in the comments. Please make sure to like this video if you enjoy content like this, and if you would be so kind as to consider subscribing to my channel, I would really appreciate it. I would love to have you join my little corner of the internet where we chat about makeup, and as I like to say, we keep it chill over here. And yes, with that being said, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.